That morning, the courtroom felt colder than a morgue. The air held the sterile scent of wood polish and old lies, like even the walls were waiting to take sides against me. Cameras clicked somewhere behind me, and their flashes reflected off the brass nameplate that read, Judge Reynolds, my mother's best friend from the country club. Of course. My mother, Patricia Rivers, sat across the aisle, her posture rehearsed, her chin lifted with the grace of a woman who had never been told no in her entire life. Beside her, Robert Rivers. My father avoided my gaze, as if his guilt could be disguised as silence. Her attorney arranged documents with the calm of someone who already believed victory was inevitable. Then came the words that pierced deeper than any legal claim. This girl only knows how to waste what she does not deserve. That girl was me, the daughter she had ignored for 20 years. Now the obstacle between her and the fortune my grandmother Nana Rose had left in her will. It was not greed that chilled me. It was the ease with which she performed cruelty. The judge nodded faintly, almost imperceptibly, and the lawyer smiled. That small, confident smirk of men who think connections outrank truth. But I had been preparing for this moment since the day I learned that justice in our town often came with a price tag. My pulse steadied, my voice did not shake. When I rose, the sound of the chair scraping against the marble echoed like the beginning of an ending. 2 words. That was all I needed to end the performance. Judicial disclosures. I sat back down and let the silence stretch. My hands were trembling under the table, but not from fear. I was shaking from the sheer force of the rage I had suppressed for 3 months. My mother looked at me with eyes that were devoid of warmth. To her, I was Evelyn the disappointment, the failure, the 28-year-old library assistant who could not even afford a decent car. She did not know the truth. She did not know that the library job was just a cover I used to keep my life private. She had no idea that for the last 5 years, I had been working remotely as a senior forensic accountant for one of the largest firms in New York. I spent my days hunting down international money launderers and corporate embezzlers. I tracked hidden assets for a living, and my parents had just made themselves my new target. The lawsuit was a farce. Nana Rose had died 3 months ago, leaving an estate worth $5 million entirely to me. She explicitly cut my parents out of the will, writing that they had received enough handouts during her lifetime. But Patricia Rivers did not accept defeat. She hired a shark of a lawyer and filed a motion claiming I was mentally incompetent and that I had coerced Nana Rose into changing the will. The worst part was the lie my father told on the stand just 10 minutes ago. He swore under oath that I had stolen Nana's jewellery while she was dying. I watched him say it. I watched my own father look the jury in the eye and paint me as a thief to secure his payout. Judge Reynolds cleared her throat. She looked down at me over her spectacles with a gaze that was meant to intimidate. Miss Rivers, your mother has made a compelling case for a conservatorship. Given your history of financial instability, it seems only prudent that the estate be managed by responsible adults. Financial instability. That was rich. I had a net worth my parents could not even dream of, but I kept it in diversified trusts they could not see. I looked at the judge. I knew exactly why she was ruling this way. I knew about the debts. I knew about the gambling. But I could not reveal my hand yet, not until the trap was fully set. I trust the court will make the right decision, I said, my voice flat and devoid of emotion. The judge smirked. We will reconvene in 48 hours for the final verdict. I suggest you prepare yourself, Miss Rivers. As the bailiff called for a recess, my sister Chloe leaned over the railing. She was wearing a designer handbag that cost more than my rent. A bag she had likely bought on credit, anticipating the inheritance money. Just give it up, Eve. Chloe whispered, her breath smelling of peppermint and entitlement. You know Mum always wins. You are embarrassing yourself. I looked at my sister, the golden child, the one who never changed a diaper or sat through a chemo appointment, but was always first in line for the photos. Enjoy the bag, Chloe, I said softly. I hope you kept the receipt. I walked out of the courtroom before she could respond. The moment the heavy oak doors closed behind me, the trembling stopped. My breathing slowed. The tears that had threatened to spill vanished, replaced by a cold clarity. They wanted a war. They wanted to destroy me to get to the money. They had no idea they were marching straight into a minefield. The timeline in my head shifted back 48 hours. I remembered the night I decided to destroy them. I was sitting in my apartment surrounded by monitors. My humble laptop was just a facade. My real setup was a beast of a machine, capable of processing terabytes of financial data. I had spent the last week doing what I did best, digging. It started with Nana Rose's journals. I found them hidden in her attic, wrapped in an old quilt. They were not just diaries. They were ledgers. Nana Rose was sharp until the very end. She had recorded every single time Patricia asked for money, every threat, every emotional blackmail attempt. There was an entry from 2 years ago that made my blood run cold. Patricia said if I do not sign the house over, she will put me in that state facility, the one with the bad reviews. I am scared. I gave her the check for $50,000 just to make her leave. $50,000. I highlighted the date. Then I opened my decryption software. I had legal access to the family cloud thanks to an old shared account they forgot to remove me from. It was sloppy security, but typical for people who thought they were untouchable. I scanned my father's emails first. Nothing but spam and failed business ventures. Then I moved to my mother's account. Patricia was careful. She deleted her trash folder daily, but she did not know that digital footprints are etched in stone if you know how to look. I recovered a deleted thread from a month ago. The subject line was simply, consulting fee. The email was to an LLC I did not recognize, Reynolds Consulting Group. The content was brief. Transfer complete. Make sure the girl is handled. I need this resolved by Christmas. Reynolds. Judge Reynolds. I ran a background check on the LLC. It was registered to a Thomas Reynolds, the judge's husband. I pulled their bank records. It took me 3 hours to bypass the encryption, but once I was in the picture was pathetic. The judge and her husband were drowning in debt. Bad real estate investments and a serious poker habit had left them on the brink of bankruptcy. Then I saw it. The smoking gun. A wire transfer for $50,000 from my mother's account to Reynolds Consulting Group. The date matched the week the lawsuit was filed. It was a bribe, plain and simple. My mother had paid the judge to rig the case. I sat back in my chair and stared at the screen. This was not just a probate dispute anymore. This was a federal crime. Racketeering. Bribery. Fraud. I copied the files to 3 separate encrypted drives. Then I printed the bank statements. The ink was still warm when I put them in a red folder, the colour of danger. Back in the present day, I stood in the court bathroom splashing cold water on my face. The door opened and Chloe walked in. She checked her makeup in the mirror, ignoring me at first. Then she met my eyes in the reflection. "You look tired, Eve," Chloe said, applying fresh lipstick. "Maybe you should ask the judge for a plea deal. Mum might let you keep the Honda if you apologise." I dried my hands slowly. "Is that what she told you? That I need to apologise?" Chloe laughed. "It is pathetic, really, you trying to fight us." "Judge Reynolds is basically family, you idiot. You never stood a chance. She and Mum have been planning this for months." I turned to face her. My hand rested casually in my pocket where my phone was recording every word. So you admit it. The trial is rigged. Chloe rolled her eyes. Duh, that is how the world works, Eve. Powerful people help each other. Losers like you get crushed. Just sign the papers. Save us the time. I smiled. A real, genuine smile. Thank you, Chloe. You have been very helpful. I walked out, leaving her confused. I had the confession. Now I needed the delivery. I met Mr. Vance at a diner 3 towns over. He was not a local lawyer. He was a partner at a firm in Chicago. A man who cost more per hour than my father made in a month. I had hired him 2 weeks ago using my own funds. He was the kind of lawyer who did not just win cases, he ended careers. I slid the red folder across the sticky table. Mr. Vance opened it. He scanned the bank statements, the recovered emails, and the transcript of Chloe's confession. He took a sip of his black coffee and let out a low whistle. This is not a lawsuit, Evelyn. He said, his voice gravelly and low. This is a RICO case. You have them on wire fraud, bribery, and conspiracy. The judge alone is looking at 20 years. Can we use it? I asked. Mr. Vance closed the folder. Oh, we are going to do more than use it. We are going to drop a nuclear bomb on that courtroom. But you need to be ready. Once we do this, there is no going back. Your family will be destroyed. They destroyed themselves, I said. I am just signing the death certificate. That night my phone buzzed. A text from my mother. Family dinner tonight, 7 sharp. Do not be late. We need to discuss the settlement. I knew what this was. An ambush. They wanted to bully me into submission before the verdict. I put on a simple black dress and drove to the house I grew up in. The house Nana Rose had paid for. When I walked in, the smell of roast chicken filled the air. It was sickeningly domestic. A lie wrapped in comfort food. My parents sat at the head of the table. Chloe was already eating. Sit down, Evelyn, my father said, pointing to the chair that was always mine. The wobbly one with the short leg. I sat. I did not eat. We have a proposition, my mother said, pouring herself a large glass of wine. If you drop the defence and sign the conservatorship papers voluntarily, we will give you a monthly allowance. $2,000. Enough for rent and groceries. We will even let you keep your little library job. $2,000. From an estate worth $5 million. And if I refuse? I asked. My father slammed his hand on the table. Then you get nothing. The judge will declare you incompetent. We will put you in a facility until you learn to behave. And when you get out, you will be penniless. I looked at them, really looked at them. My mother with her botoxed forehead and hollow eyes. My father with his weak chin and greedy hands. They were monsters. Is that a threat? I asked clearly. It is a promise. My mother hissed. You are nothing, Evelyn. You are a leech. You lived off Nana for years, pretending to care for her, just to get into the will. But I fixed that. I made sure the right people are on our side. Right people, meaning the judge. I asked. My mother laughed. A cruel, sharp sound. Let us just say Ruth knows who her real friends are, and she knows who pays her bills. I felt the small device taped to my chest hum with the recording. It was done. I had everything. I stood up. Sit down, my father barked. No, I said. I am not hungry. I walked out of the dining room. My mother screamed after me, calling me an ungrateful brat. I walked out the front door and down the driveway. I looked back at the house one last time. It looked small, fragile. I knew that within a week it would be seized by the IRS. I felt a pang of sadness for the little girl who used to live there. But she was gone now. Only the prosecutor remained. 48 hours later, the courtroom was packed. My mother had invited her friends to watch her victory. She wore a white suit, trying to look angelic. Judge Reynolds entered looking bored. "I call this court to order," the judge said. "We are here to deliver the verdict on the matter of the Abbott estate." She picked up a piece of paper. "After reviewing the evidence and the testimony provided by the parents, I find that Evelyn Rivers is unfit to manage the estate. Therefore, I am granting full conservatorship to Patricia and Robert Rivers effective immediately." My mother let out a dramatic sob of relief. Chloe smirked at me. Bang! The gavel hit the wood. "Not so fast!" The voice boomed from the back of the room. The double doors swung open and Mr. Vance strode in. He was wearing a suit that looked sharper than a scalpel. He carried a thick leather briefcase. "Who are you?" Judge Reynolds demanded. "This session is closed." "I am the attorney of record for Miss Rivers as of this morning," Mr. Vance said, walking past the bar, "and I am filing an emergency motion to vacate this judgment based on new evidence regarding a criminal conflict of interest." My mother stood up. "Who is this man? Evelyn, what did you do?" Mr. Vance ignored her. He plugged a drive into the court's presentation system. "Objection," her lawyer shouted. "This is highly irregular." "What is irregular?" Mr. Vance said, his voice projecting to the back of the room. "Is a sitting judge accepting a $50,000 bribe from the plaintiff?" The room went silent. Absolute, dead silence. You could hear a pin drop. Judge Reynolds turned the colour of ash. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Mr. Vance pressed a button. The large screen behind the witness stand lit up. It displayed the bank transfer, the date, the amount, the sender, Patricia Rivers, the recipient, Reynolds Consulting Group. "That is a lie." My mother shrieked. Her voice cracked, losing its polish. She hacked me. "That is fake." Mr. Vance pressed another button. A video played. It was the security footage from the bank showing my mother depositing the check into the judge's husband's account. Then the audio from the dinner played. Let us just say Ruth knows who her real friends are. And she knows who pays her bills. My mother's voice echoed through the courtroom, clear and undeniable. The judge looked like she was going to faint. She gripped the bench, her knuckles white. "Bailiff," Mr. Vance said calmly, "I believe you should secure the defendant. And by defendant, I mean the Honourable Judge Reynolds." Pandemonium erupted. Reporters who had been tipped off by Vance were already on their phones. The court-marshals looked confused for a second, then they moved. They approached the bench. Judge Reynolds stood up, knocking over her water glass. "This is a misunderstanding. I can explain." "Sit down," the marshal said, his hand on his holster. My mother was looking around wildly like a trapped animal. "Robert, do something!" she screamed at my father. My father was staring at the screen, his face grey. He knew. He knew it was over. I stood up then. I looked across the aisle at my mother. "You wanted a verdict," I said, my voice cutting through the noise. "Here it is." Chloe was trying to sneak out the side door. "Stop her," I said, pointing. "She is an accessory." She knew about the bribe. A deputy blocked Chloe's path. She started crying real ugly tears this time. "I did not know. I swear I did not know." "We have the recording, Chloe," I said. "The bathroom, remember?" The look on her face was priceless. Total devastation. State police entered the courtroom a moment later. They had been waiting in the hall. They handcuffed Judge Reynolds first. Watching a judge get cuffed in her own courtroom was a sight I would never forget. She was weeping, begging for mercy. Then they came for my parents. My mother fought them. "Get your hands off me!" Do you know who I am? I am a councilwoman. You are a felon, I said. As they dragged her past me, she lunged. Evelyn, please. We are family. You cannot do this. We are your flesh and blood. I looked her dead in the eye. My expression did not change. It was ice cold. Family does not steal, I said. Criminals do. My father did not say a word. He just hung his head defeated. The courtroom cleared out slowly. Mr. Vance packed up his briefcase. Well done, Evelyn, he said. The State Ethics Board is already convening. The FBI is opening a file on the judge's past cases. You did not just win, you cleaned house. What happens to the money? I asked. It is all yours. The will stands. The conservatorship is dead. And with the lawsuit for damages we are going to file against your parents, you will likely end up with their assets too. Not that there is much left after the IRS gets through with them. I walked out of the courthouse into the bright afternoon sun. The air smelled fresh for the first time in months. I put on my sunglasses. My phone buzzed. It was a notification from my bank. The estate funds had been released. $5 million. I walked to the parking lot. I walked past my old beat-up Honda. I did not stop. I kept walking until I reached the reserved spot where Mr. Vance had parked his car. But next to it was a delivery truck unloading a sleek black sports car. I signed the clipboard. I got in the car. The leather smelled new. I started the engine and it purred like a lion. I drove past the county jail on my way out of town. I saw the transport van unloading my parents. I did not slow down. I did not look back. I had a flight to catch. Paris sounded nice this time of year. And for the first time in my life, I had nothing to weigh me down. If you enjoyed seeing justice served cold, hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. And if you want to see what happens when a gold-digging husband tries to steal his wife's lottery winnings, click the video on the screen right now. You do not want to miss it.